This is Habakkuk 2 verse 2 in the NLT. Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. This vision is for a future time. It describes the end and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. Call Allah Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah by Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Shalom to those feel like men that scattered abroad pushing this truth without sincerity. And also shalom to you very few sincere sisters that's taking heed and getting in order in these last days. And the brother Amawan coming to the video low when it's edifying. And, most definitely blowing that trumpet in Zion, right, to you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives, right? So, diving into this clip that the actor Noel G, right, which we all know him as Hector in every movie he played in, but yeah, I tried to do this video yesterday, but it uploaded, but it had got a copyright on it because I had added in the actual video from, I think it's Law and Order SVU or one of them. But it was the actual episode where this little girl named Mackenzie, she had the actual chip inside her, and pretty much they was at the CDC lab and everything, and they was talking, it's like going into this rant, but they was talking about how, because she was lost and they was able to track her and find her, and she was with adoption parents, something like that. But when the CSI people, the Law and Order folks that came to the house, and they was like, they found you, and they was like, no, they found me because they tracked me. And pretty much she the lady didn't believe the little girl Mackenzie. She's like, yeah, they found me through this chip. And the lady was like, no, they just told you that so you wouldn't be alarmed, you wouldn't be scared, something to that effect. And she said, no, I got a chip inside me. And she made the lady touch her arm, her shoulder, and she felt it. She was like, what is this? She told me it's a microchip. And later on, they get to it changes on until they at the CDC, and the man did the breakdown on it. He was like, yes, they do microchips for kids. And another man was like they do in dogs. He was like, yes, but with this chip, it holds your medical records. And he was like, but in the future, it'll have way more applications than just medical records. But I brought that out just to say that, hey, they've been warning, other movies like The Image of the Beast, music videos, cell therapy, Goody Mob, it all has been out here, right? And these are coming from, celebrities, right? So back into this, this guy was actually going into what the MOTB is, right? What you've been telling these people all along. And how he break it down, man, he if you had your eyes closed and just listening, shit, you thought, hey, you knew what camp he was teaching up under. Goddamn, he knew who he get it from. Because he was breaking it down pretty good. But I'm gonna play this clip and dissect it, here and there with scriptures.
When it's the one world currency and you get the chip inside of you,
like Mark of the Beast.
And what's going to happen is when so that's headed towards that.
Right.
So the chip, it's to condition your mind. So it'd be like, oh, we've always been tapping. We've always been using cryptocurrency.
And what we always talk about, gradualism, step-by-step process to get you comfortable, get you registered with it, lock it into your brain. You seen it on a day-to-day basis, you start adapting to that way.
We've always been, doing it this way. So when you get the chip, you ain't going to think nothing of it because you won't be like, nah, they've always been doing it similar to this, right? So the chip, when they put it inside of you, is going to be activated as your credit card. So long story short, now you could just, if they put it in your forehead or your wrist, now you could just slide your arm or slide your head, whatever they decide to put it in. And they're going to say, oh, there's all these good things about it. And this is where they manipulate / trick you / deceive you.
Yep, and that's the deception. As a matter of fact, I meant to bring that video, 144, call Lord Yahweh Shema Shah. I meant to bring that precept out in my last video. I said, Lord, wouldn't I be able to bring out the scripture? And it was Isaiah 55 and 6. No, it's not Isaiah 55 and 6, Salakia. It's Psalms 55 and 21. Right, because it said he gonna try to deceive you, right? And this is the man that's in society he'd be considered great or rich, and it goes into Revelation 13:16, man. It talks about he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, right? And then NLT even said it's a requirement. He requires, right? This is a law that's about to be pushed, right? Psalm 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his. Hold on, this. No, that's not it. Salakia. I can't think of other scriptures I had in mind. Let me get that 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. He said to deceive you. I can't remember what it is. It says, let Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. See, he won't be able to deceive the elect, because we already on point. We see the gameplay, right? And we warning others, right? That's why, with the water, Yahweh Shema Shah for our elders and our apostles and elders, because, they've been breaking it down for so long, right? So we see all through the bullshit how he's gonna, get up real close up on you and squeeze you, box you in. We see that. So we're not ignorant, right? We well aware. That's why we are blowing the trumpet to others, so we can warn you. We're giving you the correct breakdown, breaking down Revelation 13:16 to the T. And here you have it. You hearing celebrities talk about it now, which they been knew, but they can't speak on it. Right, but now they're speaking on it, right? But let me go back to this Matthew 24 and 24, right? Because like I said, Esau's come with an agenda to deceive, and Psalms 55:21 can apply, because you can come with smooth words like butter, but war was in his heart, right? But the elect is not gonna fall short to this. I got another precept behind it, Matthew 24 and 24, and this is future prophecy, right? This is end time discernment as well. It says, for there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, right? And that's what they're coming with, right? These miracles, helping the paralyzed people walk, use computers for their thoughts, all kind of stuff, man. It says, in so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, which we know is not possible, right? The Lord already has reserved a certain group of people, of men, elect men, and you have your few sisters, right, that will not bow down to the system, man, right? It said, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Right, so the elect will not be deceived. Go out, we're not ignorant. We hip to what he's got going on. We hip to the schemes, right? And what's that one? Is it a Romans 11 and 4? Yep, call Allah Yahweh Shema Shah. It says, but what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, right? A completion of number, who have not bowed to the knee to the image of Baal, right? See, there's already been set up that, a certain group of people are not going to bow to the image, right? And also group of people are actually out teaching right now what the MOTB is, telling you to warn, warning you not to take it, right? Let me go back to the video.
They're going to say, you know why the chip is good? Because now no one can come up to you and just rob you and take your cash.
And that's the pitch of it, no hacking. That's what they say. Like you said, you can have all your money on the card, stuff like that. Even you can still get hacked, right? It's easy for them to pretty much control you at that point. You have the chip inside you. They can turn your money off, like it is in China. Social credit score, that shit can go down. You can't do nothing. You wired to the system.
You know why the chip is good? Because if you get kidnapped, I can find you and locate you with the chip. They're going to tell you all these great things, but here's the part that they don't tell you. If you do not comply with the government and you do not do what the government says, all they got to do is simply turn that chip off. And now,
right, when we speak about the draconian laws, right, Draco, harsh harsh laws, man. And that's what he wants. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna just jump straight. No, you know, I'm gonna hold off because that's a good point. Because when you go into that mark, right, he goes into charagma, and it talks about that in the Strong's definition, right? Which I'm gonna grab.
Your credit card don't work, and now you can't even go to Carl's Jr. and get a cheeseburger. Now you can't even go get tacos or eat. And now, in order for that chip to be turned back on / activated, you got to be under control and the mercy of the government and what they tell you to do to be able to even shop for food.
And it's just a new form of buck breaking.
Whatever else is that you want to get. And so all that is leading towards that, man. So I tell people you're soon enough going to be backed up into having to make the decision of accept or don't accept.
And this is what the hour of temptation that we're finna approach. And that's why, like I said, you know, we coming out every weekend and we got to prophesy this. You know, the videos, the sit downs. So we can give you that correct message so you can build yourself up to, hey, Lord willing, hey, not fall into that, because the Lord is definitely doing heavy judgment for whoever takes that mark, right? That the charagma. Matter of fact, let me grab the scripture right quick in the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and 10. You know, because our job is, you want to overcome it, man. But there's going to be a hard trial for us all. And he's definitely not going to let up Esau Edom, right? Because this is his last time ruling. And like it states in Revelation 12 and 12, he's going to come down with great wrath, you know, because this is his last time ruling. So he's going to try his best to make you give in, right? And that mark is going to be real enticing, you know. It's Revelation 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And you got niggas like IUSBK thinking that the chip is not the MOTB. These other nations not going to get aboard. But look what you got now. You got the UK, right? They on board. You got China. They on board. You know? It's not far-fetched. They just don't want to teach it. They too busy. You know, they really just fill out the scriptures, honestly. You know, in the last days, that should be lovers of themselves. You know, covetous. You know, those are those men. They don't want to warn the flock. You know, they're not being a real sheepman or herdman. You know, steer the flock the right way. You know, but hey, the blood gonna be upon them. You know. But yes, this shall come upon all the world, right? Israelites are scattered upon the whole world. So therefore, of course, it will only make sense for the MOTB to be pushed throughout the four corners of the earth, right? Because that's all of us getting tried. You know? So, UK, Britain, yeah. Let me go back to the video.
But when it comes down to it, and people always, and that's how they control you. And people always say, oh, they got you control on your phone. No, they don't. Because I can take this phone, I can throw it in a river, and you no longer got anything on me physically.
See, and that's what bros be saying. Like, literally, that's a breakdown that bros be saying. Like, nah, man, because we know that when this chip is lodged inside you, you're government property. Like you say, I could throw this phone away today, and y'all will not know the hell I'm at. But that chip, no, you hooked up to the grid. You're a human cyborg. They can track every computer. They can track the TV. You know?
But once they put that in you physically, now you're under control, because that's your credit card, that's your currency, that's your money, that's your whole damn life right there.
Right.
And again, a lot of this is exposed. You guys can watch the documentary with your own eyes. And to go one step farther, respectfully, it's all in the Bible.
Right.
It's all in
See? You know what to say.
Revelations. It's right there in black print.
Right there in Revelations. It's in the Bible, La Biblia. You know? It's all in there, man. And look, he's really saying, you know, a good point, right? A good breakdown for a person that's not out there teaching. You know? Jake know what's going on. It's so much fame and money. They drunk off the wine.
So all I'm saying is, but if you want to see some current, watch American Faces into Freedom. You'll get a wake-up call right there, and it shows you how and why this is happening, because this is all leading up to the one world government, the one world currency, and if you know the...
So that was the end of that clip. You know, I never get the chance to check out the whole thing, But yeah, hey, that's spot on, man. And that's why we out here teaching the correct breakdowns, warning others, right? Getting the blood off our hands, you know. Um, so let me hit that inside Revelation. Matter of fact, let me finish this up. I mean, I read it already, but I didn't get to break it down. But yeah, like I said, write my answer plainly on tablets, so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. Right, the Lord bless our apostles. Right, to break down Revelation 13:16 the correct way. Right, lining it up. Going to the Greek. Seeing what the charagma meant. Right. Then we went to the root word of charagma, which got charax, showing that was just an instrument tool, symbolic to an instrument tool, something sharp. Then you got grapho, right? The strong definition from charax, and that just what all your records, all your information, things not to be forgotten, right? Because once everything goes on that chip, nothing will be forgotten, But this is the correct message that we carrying to others. Right, no other breakdown out there is going to line up to Revelation 13:16. Right, it says this vision for a future time, right, and we are in that future time, right. This was written many years ago, right, but through discernment, right, Yahweh Shem Yahshua has opened our eyes to measure it. Second Ezra chapter 9. Measure out the time diligently. See? Those key words, measure the time diligently, right? So we giving real close judgment calls, and we seeing, oh, this is that time period. Things are this system is failing, so this new system can come up, right? So yeah. And it says, if it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. And we're seeing these days are speeding up, right? These days are speeding up. Like I was just saying in the last video, camp coming around like goddamn, hey, like break time at work, goddamn, it's coming around fast, right? And that's beauty, that's beautiful, because hey, the Lord said He's gonna shorten the days for the elect's sake anyway. Look at that Revelation 13, and I'm gonna close on out. And Lord willing, the lesson was edifying. Matter of fact, I gotta bring this out right quick because the receipts is there. We've been warning you, right? You can't say you wasn't warned, right? And that's the thing with Jake. Jake will wait till a celebrity speak, and then they'll want to hop on board. I mean, it's cool. We ain't trying to, oh, you learn from me. It ain't nothing like that. But it's just Jake's so simple that, they rather hear somebody that got more cars and, money and shit to actually just listen or take heed. If I can get the damn scripture. Right? But, I think it's a scripture that goes into that, when a poor man speak, people just look. But when the rich man speak, they be ready to listen and, try to be like him type shit. Right? But these rich men or this time is not going to be like servants to prophets, man. But this Ezekiel 33:33, matter of fact, in the NLT, when all these terrible things happen to them, as they certainly will, because right, a lot of folks don't want to hear the correct message, and what, they're going to wind up and take their goddamn chip and get destroyed by the Lord. Right? Matter of fact, let's hit it inside the KJV. And when this comes to pass, right, this MOTB, this society is finna collapse and new one finna, come up, right, which will be that NWO. And what's going to be the face of it? That MOTB. The charagma. It says, "Lo, it will come," right? And that's the Lord speaking through Ezekiel, right? He says words will not come back unto him void. I mean, it's going to go out and flourish wherever, nourish wherever it's supposed to go. It says, "Then shall they know that a prophet have been among them." See, plain as day, you gonna know a prophet was among you, because hey, who you think these celebrities learn from? They learn from the apostles, man. They be watching these videos. We ain't bringing out Romans 13:11 for no reason. It's high time to wake out of sleep. They know that there was dry bones. Now they coming back. They try to use their little platform to speak on it, which is good. Hey, the Lord working a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? may hear it through Hector. And then next you know, hey, he'll be watching our videos. Trying to soak up, he or she, scripture talk about, there's a, elect lady, not higher than the 144, but, a remnant woman will be, saved as well. Revelation 13:16 in the NLT, he required everyone. Who's that who's doing the requiring? Esau, right? He's requiring, it's going to be law. Small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, right? And like I said, he used a rich man to speak on it. Hey, hell, even Hector gonna be tried. We all gonna be tried, man. Rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or in their foreheads, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark. See, you be cut off from society without that mark, without that chip. Right, this is your ticket in. This is your ticket to move around. It says which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. So let's go back to 16 and let's get that word from Mark, right? So just so you can understand. And like he was going into, they could turn off your chip. You won't be able to do nothing. And like he said, he really wants. He's like, yeah, the good side of you'll be able to have all your wallets and on his chip and stuff like that. The so-called miracles that he got for it. But he said, but the downside is, hey, if you want to buck up, you won't be able to. I mean, you can, but they'll be able to turn your shit off. Why? Because you are literally fully committed to someone that's more powerful, right? So you go down to the word for charagma, which is in the Greek, to the strong definition. It talks about what the charagma, it says a scratch or etching, right? Because you got to scratch through the surface of the skin to put that chip in, rather it's the hand or the forehead, right? So in the strong definition, it says scratch or etching, stamp. It says as a badge of servitude, right? And I would like to go into that word servitude because it points out what Esau really wants you to be to him. It says the state of being a slave or completely subject to someone more powerful, because at that time he'll be way more powerful than you at that time. Because why? He can control you, right? So, and we want to hear about I take the chip and take it out. No, it don't work like that. Once you take it, you have consented and you took it, right? The Lord gonna destroy you for that, right? Revelation 14 and 9 and 10. So this is the root word for charagma, which is charax, right? And it says in the Strong's definition, to sharpen to a point through the idea of scratching, see? By implication, right? A palisade, right? Which the palisade is like you take like a wooden post with that sharp arrow tip, right? That's what's supposed to pierce through the ground. That's how it's usable, right? What's going to be usable for the syringe that they would have is usable by piercing through the skin to inject the chip, right? And also, you got the root word for charax is grapho, which I had brought out earlier. Just you go to 2b, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten. See, you won't be able to lose your wallet, your social security card, and all of that stuff, medical records. It'd be all written on that chip, right? It'd be coded, embedded inside that chip. It says write down to record. See, so you would have all these things on on this chip, right? You go down to D. It says to write to one by writing in a written epistle to give information, directions. See, that's all it is. To fill with writing. That's all that chip is going to be doing. It's like a memory card. It's going to have all that stuff saved on there. Right, so I'm going to close out with that. Lord willing, this lesson was quick and edifying and to the point. I also want to give out honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash. Shalom.